What's up, everybody? Welcome into A to Z Sports Picks. Brian and I are going to have a great show for you this Friday. Get you ready for the betting weekend. Brian, good to see you as always, my man. How we doing?
I'm doing good, buddy. Last week, I got my chair an hour or two before the show, and this week, this arrives.
Look at you, man. You got the preview mag. You got a new chair. How's the new chair doing? Solid?
Beyond solid. I love it.
I love it, man.
It's spectacular.
Well, I love it. Well, everybody, welcome in A to Z Sports Picks. I'm Alan Bell of CBS Sportsline alongside Brian Edwards of VegasInsider.com. A to Z Sports Picks is brought to you every Tuesday and Friday by BetMGM, the king of sports books. Everybody, make sure to download the BetMGM app. Use promo code A to Z 100. And if you put $1 money line bet on either NBA team tonight, the Hawks or the Bucks, if either of those teams hit a three-pointer, you win $100 in free bets. The easiest bet you can make. Do it. Download that app. Sign up for an account. Use that promo code. You will make money tonight. That's BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Visit BetMGM for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years or older. Must be present in the state of Tennessee. For gambling problem support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789. So, Brian, as we open this show, I'm here in Nashville. There's been some massive news at the College World Series for anybody that has been paying attention for the last few hours. NC State has had an illness, a COVID situation breakdown in their team. The first pitch of the game was supposed to be at 1 o'clock Central today. They're opening at 2:07 p.m., so here in 1 minute. But the betting lines of this, since the news broke to right now, have been insane, okay? So, Brian, a few hours ago, just a mere few hours ago, Vanderbilt was a moneyline favorite, minus 135, okay? Right before first pitch, minus 450. NC State has 9 position players and 4 pitchers available. That's it. They've got a pitcher playing first base. They've got a guy with no batting average in DH, and you have to go against the best pitcher in the country in Kumar Rocker. If NC State wins this game, get 91 mortgages and put it on them to win it all because they're destined to do it. It's going to be a little tough. So, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's just horrible luck for them. I remember VCU in the NCAA tournament got COVID and they couldn't play. I mean, at least they get to throw some guys out there, but it's a steep climb against the best pitcher in the country and with such a limited roster. But at least they do get to throw somebody out there and try to win. VCU didn't even have that opportunity. I think they were playing Oregon in the first round, if memory serves, from this past tournament. Just that's horrible luck for them. Hate it.
It is. I'm with you. At least they get to play. They were offered the opportunity, to forfeit today's game because Vanderbilt has to beat them twice to get to the finals. So they could.
So they have no losses still.
Correct. Yep. So they've got a game to play with. I don't know what happens tomorrow, because if Vanderbilt wins tonight, they'll play again tomorrow. I don't know what the protocol situation is on that, but they
that
at least
makes it even worse for them that they have no losses. Because they were, in prime position to win it all. That makes it even worse.
It's brutal, man. It's tough. And if they win, or if Vanderbilt wins, they play tomorrow. They're getting our boy Jack Leiter again. That dude just had 15 strikeouts against their, starting lineup. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that game for everybody. But we want to jump in, and it's Friday. Usually we'll run down the board. We're going to go right to college football because that's what this thing is about. We can't wait for football season. So, Brian, I'm going to kick it to you. We're going to take a look at the best bet week 1 college football. Now, I'm going to read some lines to you, to everybody here. And, Brian, you're going to pick your best bet. Everybody tuning in, you're going to pick yours as well. Let me read through these. So, North Carolina, Virginia Tech. North Carolina, 6.5-point favorite. Georgia and Clemson. Clemson's a 3.5-point favorite. Alabama and Miami. Alabama's a 17.5-point favorite. LSU, UCLA. LSU's a 3.5-point favorite. Oregon State, Purdue. Purdue's a 5.5-point favorite. Get to the bottom here. And we have, let's see, Indiana, Iowa. Iowa's a 5.5-point favorite. Western Michigan, Michigan's 17.5-point favorite. Michigan State, Northwestern, 6.5-point favorite. Northwestern, Notre Dame, Florida State. Notre Dame's a 10-point favorite. And the last one, Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin against Louisville. Ole Miss is a 7.5-point favorite. So I fired those out. Brian, best bet. What do you got?
I got LSU minus 3.5. And I think we talked about this a little earlier in the summer. It was a good month or so ago. And I have seen this line higher at other books. I think it's a terrible line. I won't be shocked if it's up to 6 or 7 by the time we get into late August and close to kickoff. I think you should go fire on LSU right now at 3.5. Just a few things on LSU. 9 starters back on offense and defense. Obviously, tough season last year. It was all set up for them to fail last year. They lost Aranda, their longtime defensive coordinator. They lost Joe Brady, the offensive guru. They got 14 players drafted. That didn't even count Terrence Moss, Randy's son, who had 41 targets and 41 catches, and I believe 8 or 9 touchdowns in 2019. And then they had like 4 or 5 guys opt out, including a couple of defensive line starters. And then Miles Brennan gets hurt after week 3. And so the rest of the season, they're starting true freshmen at quarterback, either Finley or Brad Johnson's son, Max. And it ended up Max getting the last 2 starts, and they scored 53 against Ole Miss and beat my Gators 37-34. And Johnson ended up with an 8-to-1 TDI-INT ratio. So he's battling with Miles Brennan to be the starter. And Brennan played really well in those first 3 games, had an 11-3 TDI-INT ratio. They scored 34 against Mississippi State, 41 against Vandy, and 41 against Missouri. So I think they've got 2 quality quarterbacks. They've got their top 2 running backs returning. They've recruited terrific. I think LSU is set for a bounce back year. But more than anything, this is fading a UCLA team, which went 3-4 last year. It did lose 4 one-possession games, but I mean, we're talking Pac-12. And Chip Kelly's first year, they got just annihilated by everybody. And the second year was much of the same. They played a little better down the stretch. But I think this game is going to be won in the trenches. And the offensive and defensive line matchups are a total mismatch in favor of LSU. And now, some might think, oh, gosh, traveling out west. And I get that. I do take into account travel, but I think that would be a much more big deal if it was in mid-October in the week-to-week grind, 6, 7, 8 games in the season. For week 1, I don't really think it's that much of a negative for LSU going out west. And I love LSU minus 3.5.
Yeah, I like that play too. I think that LSU, I think Ed Orgeron, I think that entire team's a little pissed off about last year. I wouldn't be surprised they go out and blow them out. I'm gonna kind of roll with the same factor, except team's not pissed off. I'm gonna go Alabama 17.5 over Miami. I think Miami's getting better as a program. I still don't believe in them. I believe absolutely in what Alabama is going to do. They got the young King Bryce at quarterback. I don't think that they really miss a step, even though they were arguably the best team that Alabama and Nick Saban's ever had. I don't think that they're going to be that, but I think they're going to be a whole lot better than probably most other teams, Miami included. So 17.5, I will take that. Alabama shows up week 1. They play a monster team every year to open a season. Yep, I'm all over it. Now, jumping quick right into what we have tonight. We've got some people in the chat talking about they've got bets. Our man Lucas says, look, he's got a decent-sized free bet to use by Sunday. Needs a hammer lockdown pick. You know what, Lucas? That's exactly what we're here to do. So let's take a look what we have tonight. Hawks, Bucks 7.5-point favorite, 226 total. Hawks lead that series 1-0. Brian, I know these are your boys. Where are you going with this?
Yeah, so I'm going with the Hawks. Now, I'm not as bullish as I was on them in game 1. They have they're 6-2 on the road, both straight up and against the spread in the playoffs so far. But both of those losses and non-covers came in the game 2s after they had won game 1 at New York and at Philly. But still, man, 8 is so many. And, I didn't even really think the Hawks played that great the other night. Obviously, Trey played out of his mind for sure. And John Collins had a big game. Capella played good. But they only shot 8 of 32 from 3. And I keep bringing that up because the Hawks are a terrific three-point shooting team. And they're getting these wins in the postseason, but they're really not shooting that well from 3. That's 25%, 8 of 32. So I think one of these games here, they're going to have one of those big nights from 3. But, yeah, Atlanta +8, I got to take it. Again, I'm not as strong on it as I loved it the other night and did the money line as well. I'm not as strong on it, but I got to go with the Hawks. They're on fire, and +8. That's a lot of points. I like the underdog.
Yeah, it's a lot of points. And here's the deal. I don't like either side on the spread, and I'll tell you exactly why. I'm going to play the money line on this one. I'm going to parlay it with a couple others, which we'll fully explain here in just a second. But again, 7.5, 8 points. That's a lot. But here is the thing. The Hawks have won and covered every game won on the road in the postseason this year. You know what they've also done? They've lost and failed to cover every game too on the road. And the last two, the average margin of defeat was 12.5 points. I'm not saying that translates again tonight. I think the Hawks are playing. I think they, like you said, I think they could get better in terms of, the production that we see from everybody outside of Trae Young. But I don't trust that. But I don't necessarily trust the Bucks either, because they're 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 after a loss. And the Hawks are 80% against the spread in their last 5 playoff games. So I'm not playing the spread on either way. I'm not playing the total. What I'm going to do is I think the Bucks win the game. They might win by 1. They might win by 2. But I'm going to take the Bucks money line. It's a high juice price. So I'm going to parlay that with the next game that we're going to talk about tonight. And that's the Islanders at the Lightning. NHL Game 7, Eastern Conference Finals. Okay. You know what the Lightning haven't done in the last 2 years? Lost back-to-back games. They're 11-0 straight up after a loss. 6-0 last year, 5-0 this year. They're at home. I think they win this game. They're a money line favorite of 170, roughly. Total of 5. I'm going to roll with them. I'll also tell you why. Teams that score first at Game 7s, 75% straight up. 2-0 this year. Here's the thing. The Lightning have outscored the Islanders 5-0 in the first period cumulative over the last 4 games. So I'm going to ride the Lightning. I'm going to parlay their money line with the Bucks money line. And before I get back to you, Brian, I've got one more that I'm going to throw in there. The Houston Astros against the Tigers. The Astros have been on fire. They have been doing nothing but blasting everybody that they play against. Their last 4 games, they've outscored their opponents 38-6. Incredible. All right, so I'm going to play those 3 money line parlay. They're all high juice, obviously, for a reason. That's what I'm going to go with. So, Brian, I kick that to you in our next segment, what we call the Friday parlay. Buddy, what do you got? What do you put together?
All right, we're going to go Atlanta +8 for tonight, and then we're going to finish it with the Clippers tomorrow, which is either pick 'em or maybe a +1. I had the Clippers last night. They caught a break with Cameron Payne, who had 29 points and 9 assists in game 1, having the ankle injury. And, hey, they played terrific defense. Booker was off. Actually, I have his stats right here. He was 5 of 21 from the field. Chris Paul was 5 of 19 from the field. And, since falling into 0-2 holes twice to the Mavericks and then also against the Jazz, after that 0-2 deficit, they are now a combined 9-1 in the 10 combined games, or obviously after
so
2-hole to Phoenix.
So let me get this right. So in the entire postseason, the Clippers are 0-6 in games 1 and 2 and 9-1 in every other game.
Correct.
That is incredible.
Yeah. And Paul George, he didn't have the greatest shooting night last night, but, man, you can never complain with 27 points, 15 rebounds, and 8 assists. I think he's playing terrific. Terrence Mann is playing well. He's not putting up huge numbers, but I saw he hasn't committed 1 turnover in these 5 games they've played without Kawhi. Or is it, 5 games. Games 5, 6, and then the first 3 here. So, 5 games. So I like the Clippers at home. I think they're going to even it up. And I think I said it on Tuesday. I think this series is going deep. I think both of these series are going to be terrific and go to either 6 or 7 games.
Yeah, it interests me, in terms of the Suns with Chris Paul on the court. It's almost like they play faster without him. I'm not saying that they play better. It's just a different style of ball. You know what I mean? So I'm with you. I think that this series is going to go. Now, another one, if you're looking to bet baseball today, look, if you're looking to bet anything, whether it's the NBA, NHL, MLB, understand this is a high juice Friday. You're going to see some massive numbers out there, but there's a reason for them. Another team, if you're looking for a parlay, you're looking for some teams to throw in there, take a look at the Diamondbacks and Padres. All right. It's going to be Padres money line around 270. It's an expensive price. That's why I'm talking about, using it in a parlay. The Diamondbacks are currently on a 23-game road losing streak, right? Like it's bad. And if you look at the last 7 games for the Padres, 7 straight wins, they've outscored their opponents by 18 runs. So, again, if you're looking for some teams to throw in a parlay, there's some high juice prices out there, but there's a reason for it. So, again, on mine, I'm going to play Lightning money line. I'm going to play Astros money line. I'm going to play the Bucks money line, and I might throw in the Padres. I might play them on my own. I might play run line. Run line. I haven't really figured that part out yet, but again, there's a reason for that high of a price, and it's sitting pretty good. Yeah, were you going to say something, Brian?
Yeah, I forgot to tell you the price. Yeah. Both of those plays were minus 110. So 2-game parlay, Clippers and Hawks is plus 264 return. I forgot to.
Oh yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, mine is, depending on how many teams you go, you're looking at around plus 270, plus 380. If you go 3 teams, 4 teams. But yeah, you got a nice payout again, and you're certainly riding some high money line favorites, but there's a reason for it. So that's what I'm going to roll with. And everybody, let us know in the chat what you're looking at, what you're playing. I'd love to see it. Yeah. Our good friend Music City Bet says, love the over 225 tonight in the Hawks at the Bucks. Also says fade Matt Harvey, which is happy Matt Harvey Day to all sports bettors out there. That has been, fading him has been a very, very profitable bet across Major League Baseball for a while now. So, yeah, like I said, man, there's a ton of high juice out there. Be smart, because 1 or 2 can really screw your bankroll up. But if you kind of look and play around, kind of dissipate some of those high juice prices with a parlay, you've got an opportunity. You can make some really good money. Now, what we call our final segment here, the most exciting game in sports betting. So, Brian, what I'm going to do, everybody paying attention, watching, what I'm going to do, I'm going to read you out 8 proper parlay options, okay? And the rules are simple. You have to choose one. You could choose more than one if you want, but you have to choose at least one. So I'm going to read these out. Everybody put in the chat what you're playing. Would love to see it. Brian, you're going to go first. Tell me what you're looking at. So let me read these out now. Trae Young to score 15-plus points in the first half, boosted from minus 114 to plus 100. Giannis to score 40-plus points tonight, plus 225. Trae Young to record 15-plus assists, plus 700. The Hawks first to score 20 points, plus 145. John Collins to make 3-plus three-pointers, plus 325. Drew Holiday to make 5-plus three-pointers, plus 750. Chris Middleton to record a double-double, plus 275. Bucks to win by 7-plus points, minus 140. So, everybody in the chat, drop it in. Which ones do you like? Again, the rules are simple. You have to play one. You can play more than one if you'd like, but you have to choose at least one. So, Brian, I'll kick it to you first, buddy. Which ones you got?
I think I'm just going to go with Middleton to record a double-double. He had double-doubles in game 6 and 7 against Brooklyn, but he had an off night in game 1. He probably, feels like that L is somewhat on him. He was 0 for 9 from three-point land, only had 15 points, and he had been just playing like a stud toward the end. I mean, he was probably the difference in the Brooklyn series, maybe even a tad more so than Giannis. And so I think he's ready for a big performance tonight. I just don't see Collins making that many threes. Now, Holiday did make 5 threes the other night, so that plus 750 is a little appealing, but I just don't think he's going to do it again tonight. So I'm just going to go with one. I'm going to go with Middleton to record a double-double. Plus 275 odds are pretty nice. That's going to be my only one.
Nice. All right, so I'm going to start off. I'm going to go with the Trae Young, 15-plus in the first half. I think he's going to get it as many opportunities as he wants to take. I think the Bucks are going to allow it. I think that they're going to look and say, all right, you know what? Let him get his points. He's not going to get up to close to 50. We could stop a couple other guys. That might be their route. So we'll see. So I'm going to ride that one. I like the Drew Holiday plus 750. That's just such a massive number. I'll throw a little bit on that. I kind of rock with that one. Bucks to win by 7+ points. If that were a plus number, I'd ride with it. But again, -140, it's not worth it to me. I don't really like, where the spread really is sitting. I think that might be it for me. Yeah, I think those are going to be the ones. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Trae Young, 15+ in the first half. I'm going to roll with Drew Holiday, the 5+ 3-pointers, take a shot at that one. Trae Young, 15+ assists. It piques my interest because that's a massive number. It's a lot of assists, but I could see it happening if his shots aren't falling. But again, 15, I mean, that's a ton.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that one, Brian?
Well, I just don't think it's going to happen because Bogdanovich is struggling with that knee injury. I think it would be much more possible if Bogdanovich was playing like he played most of the late regular season and earlier in the playoffs, but he's clearly playing on a bad knee. I mean, if this was the regular season, he'd be out. He wouldn't be playing right now, but he's sucking it up. But you can tell he's not getting much lift on his jumper. And so, I mean, he can obviously get a ton of assists with Capella and Collins on the pick and roll when he goes into the paint instead of doing a floater. He just does a lot of alley-oops to them. But to get to 15, I think you would have to have a lot of easy ones just passing it to Bogdanovich on the wing for threes, and I just don't see Bogdanovich hitting a lot of threes. Now, Gallinari certainly could. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's just so many, and you're right. You got to have so many opportunities, not only the guys hitting threes, but, there's got to be a lot of, kind of not even fast break, but, assists on a layup type thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's just tough. Like, that's a lot. So, yeah, that's what I've got. Again, everybody in the chat would love to see what you guys have, which ones you're playing. Before we end the show today, Brian. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to add a couple more week 1 games. If we got time.
Yeah. You know what? You bring up a good point. So our man James Little says, did you already talk about college football already? We did, but I'll run you really quickly through it. Our initial picks. I took Alabama -17.5 against Miami. Brian took LSU -3.5 at UCLA. Yeah. So go ahead, Brian. What you got, buddy?
Well, I piggybacking off of your Alabama pick, and I probably will end up playing it. If I could buy the hook to 17, I would play it right now against Miami. I just wanted to bring up that, De'Aaron King, tore his ACL in the bowl game. So, I mean, we don't know now and probably not going to know until late August. I mean, I know that their goal and their optimistic hope is that he'll be ready. But, I mean, that was late December, or late December when he got that injury. So it's not a guarantee that he's going to be ready to go in week 1. And even if he is ready, I doubt he's going to be 100%. Maybe he's 90%. And then, what I've been doing with Alabama games the last really 3 or 4 years, and it's much more when they have like a 28-point spread that I'm like hesitant to bet them for the game, but I love betting them in the first half. This is a smaller spread for Alabama standards. Anything less than 20 for Alabama standards is not that big of a line. But I like it in the first half. I like Alabama in the first half pretty much every week. They covered every first half number last year except for at Ole Miss and versus Georgia. So how many games was that with all the playoff games here? I got their page here.
So they covered 12?
Yeah. So 11-2. Yeah, because they were 13 games last year. I just love having my Field Steel mag. I can look at all the stats. Just boom, right there. So I was going to mention Alabama. So they're 17.5. I would imagine they'll probably be 11 or 12 in the first half, but really 13 or fewer, I would like it. And also, I'm starting to lean Clemson against Georgia. I would love to, be able to buy the half point to 3. But at 4 or fewer, I lean Clemson. Don't necessarily love it. If I can get it at 3, I like it a lot. And the reason why is Georgia, I think JT Daniels is getting a lot of off-season hype that I don't know how deserved it is. He had 4 starts last year, late in the year, and his stats were pretty good. He had a 10-2 TDI-INT ratio and completed 67.2% of his passes. Those are very solid numbers, but let's look who he did it against. He did it against a Mississippi State team. They were a 25-point favorite. They only won by 7. Mississippi State only took 44 scholarship players to Athens for that game because of COVID and opt-outs. Then the next week, they beat the brakes off of South Carolina, who had just fired Muschamp and was a horrible football team. And then they beat Missouri 49-14. Missouri had a bunch of COVID for that game. And then their offense didn't do anything against Cincinnati. I mean, they ended up getting a bunch of field goals and rallying to win 24-21. But they were sitting on like 14 points there midway through the fourth quarter. So anyway, I think Clemson is the look there. And, Indiana at +5.5. I know it's always tough to go to Iowa, but I think this Indiana team is going to be really good. They've got a bunch of significant transfers. They've got 8 starters back on offense, 9 on defense. I think Michael Penix is a stud. He's got one of the best wide receiver groups in the country, led by Ty Freifrogel, who had 721 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns last year. Remember, they only played 8 games. They went 6-2. They lost by 7 at Ohio State when Penix threw a pick 6 in the second half. And then their other loss was in the bowl game to Ole Miss, which was, a tight game. They lost by 6. So Indiana +5.5. I'm not saying I like that or Alabama first half necessarily as much as I like LSU. LSU is going to be my bomb bet for week 1, but I'll be looking at Alabama first half and Indiana +5.5 and Clemson as well.
I like it. Now, James says again, would you take Alabama 17.5? Absolutely. I'm all over that one. Now, you're going to see some lines that are on the other side of the number, and that's for a reason when it's this early. So you're going to see 17.5. You're going to see 7.5. But yeah, Alabama blows out people, in the first week of the season. They're going to work in a new quarterback. They're going to work in new receivers, new running back as well. So yeah, I feel absolutely comfortable with that one. No hesitation whatsoever. Now, James says he needs 4 teams for week 1. So we've thrown some out there. You like Clemson, you like LSU. Like I said, I like Alabama. You may tell you another coach that's going to be out there looking to blow somebody out because they kind of subscribe to that Nick Saban mantra. Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss, 7.5. Yeah.
I was going to say, I definitely like Ole Miss. I would love to have them at 7, but in a parlay, a money line parlay, they're definitely going to win that game. That game's going to be in Atlanta, by the way, and it's going to stand alone on Sunday night. And look, Louisville had a really good year 1 under Scott Satterfield, but they took a dive last year, and they lost Javian Hawkins, their stud running back. They lost a couple receivers. Atwell that got drafted, and Hawkins went to my Falcons as an undrafted free agent, which I'm fired up about because that guy's got wheels. But yeah, Louisville lost a lot, and they had a bad season last year. And Ole Miss got a really good, one of the best wide receivers in Conference USA transferred in from Western Kentucky, and Corral's going to be one of the better QBs in the SEC. I like your thinking there, Alan. I like Ole Miss in that game. I'd probably buy the half point to 7. On a straight bet, and if you're talking about a parlay for our guy that was James, I would probably just do it money line on a parlay. Although they'll probably win by double digits.
That's what I was going to say. First off, James, he said he just subscribed, buddy. We sure do appreciate that. Everybody out there, if you could subscribe. However, if you're watching on YouTube, you name it. Make sure you hit those notification bells so you know when we come on every Tuesday and Friday. Look, if you're giving Lane Kiffin a Sunday night, every TV channel on the planet on him, buddy, he's going to blow somebody out. I assure you on that. So, yeah, I love that. So I'm all over Ole Miss. I'm all over Alabama. You like Alabama first half. You like the Ole Miss, although you might play it, around 7. You like LSU at UCLA, and you like Clemson against Georgia, and even possibly Indiana. So that's some plays right there, definitely. Now, before we end the show, let's go back to our parlays, what we have. Brian, I'll kick it to you first. Quickly run us through what you got.
Atlanta +8, Clippers +1, or pick them. Doesn't really matter what that line does between. Well, you got to put in the bet tonight or today because the Hawks play tonight. So, yeah, just Hawks and Clippers, and it's just a 2-game parlay, -110 odds on both. So that should pay out +264.
Nice. Yeah. So, you know what? I'm going to go with the 4-teamer, +387. I'm going to go with the Bucks money line. I'm going to go with the Lightning money line. I'm going to go with the Padres, and I'm going to go with the Astros. Hit those 4. I know that you're looking at some really high money line prices individually. That's why I'm going to parlay them. And yeah, I think those 4 get it done tonight. You might even look, if you play the Lightning game, by itself, yeah, you're looking at, -170, -180 on the money line. Again, keep an eye on winning in regulation. I think you could get that around -110. And like I said, I think the Lightning get it done. They're at home. They haven't lost back-to-back postseason games in 2 years. and you look at, what they've done in the first period of the last 4 games, outscoring the Islanders 5-0. Also, if you're looking for a prop bet, Braden Point, the Tampa Bay Lightning, he's got a goal in 9 straight games. So if you're looking for something, keep an eye on that one as well. So we'll end it there. For Brian Edwards, I'm Alan Bell. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you to BetMGM for having us, A to Z Sports for having us as well. And let's make some money tonight, right? This is a good night, good weekend to make some money. So let's do it.
Let's do it. Have a good weekend. Good luck, everybody.